Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the 12th part in this series where we're building a personal dashboard app using Angular. In this video, we're going to actually be creating the edit note view, and this is the view that the user is sent to when they click on one of these note cards. Cool, alright, so let's go and do that now. Let's go here, and let's go to the terminal, and let's generate a new component. So let's do ng generate component, and then let's call this edit note. Okay, and once that's done, we can then see that we have the component here. And let's go to the template. Alright, and let's actually go to the routing module. And let's go and create a new root object. Alright, so I've just copied that on there, and I'm now going to change this, so it's going to be notes/id, so :id, so that's going to be the root parameter. And then the component will be the edit note component. Okay, so edit note component, like that. Alright, let's save that now and close that. And let's go here, and let's actually go to the application, and let's actually try this out. So let's go to the address bar, and let's do /notes/123 and see what happens. Okay, and we're taken to the edit note root. Okay, cool. So here we can see the edit note component is working here. All right, so that's pretty good. Let's go back here to the template, and let's get rid of this. And the UI for this will be very similar to the add note UI, right? It'll be very similar to this UI here. So let's go back to our code here, and let's go to the add note component, and let's actually just grab all of this code and paste it in here. And here we can just make some changes. Alright, so first of all, let's just change this class to edit note wrapper. Okay, so let's change this to edit note. Okay, and cool. Alright, so let's actually just save that, and let's go back to our application. Let's go to /notes/123, press enter, and we see this. Okay, so so there's a few things we have to do. So let's just go back to the code here. Let's go to the add note component style sheet, and let's just grab all of this code, and let's go to the edit note style sheet and paste that in there. Change this to edit note wrapper, and yeah, cool. All right, so let's save that, close this, go back to our application, and there we go. Cool. All right, so that's looking pretty good. The next thing we can do is we can actually change the text in here to save, right? Because we'll be saving it, not creating it, right? So if we go back here and go here, we can now do save. Okay, save that, go back to the application, and now it says save. Cool. All right, so one quick thing that I've just noticed is that we are always seeing this this error message, right? And I think it'll be better to hide these error messages until the user tries to submit an invalid form, right? Because as soon as they see the form, they see the validation error, and well, we haven't given them a chance to actually enter anything in, so I think it'll be much nicer to only show the error messages after they've tried to submit an invalid form. So let's actually just quickly go to the add note root, so /note/add, and let's work on it here. Okay, so let's actually close the edit note component template for now, and let's go back to the add note component.html, and let's just quickly work on this, right? So here are the error messages, and we want to hide these until the user tries to submit an invalid form. So what we can do is we can go to the component class, and we can create a new property here called show validation errors, and this will be a boolean. Okay, and you can save this and go back to the template, and you can go here and add a condition to this ngIf, right? So here we could do show validation errors and when the title field is invalid. Okay, so let's save this, and let's go back to our application, and now we don't see that error message anymore. Cool. All right. But now we actually have to show the errors after the user has tried to submit an invalid form. So let's go here and let's go to the component class. Okay, and let's scroll down here. And here, if the form is invalid, we are showing this alert. Let's not show this alert. Let's instead do this.show validation errors is equal to true. Okay, let's save that and let's go back to the application. And let's try and submit an invalid form. And there we go. So now we see the validation error message, right? Cool. All right, so that's working pretty nicely. So let's now actually go back to /notes/123. Okay, so let's now continue working on this component here, the edit note component. So let's actually close the add note component, and let's close the add note component template. Let's close this as well, and let's now go to the edit note component template. And now what we're going to do is we want to set the values of these fields to the current values of the note that we are looking at. But before we do that, we actually have to first find the note, right? So we have to look at the ID in the URL and actually find the note that has the ID, right? So let's go back to our code here. Let's go to the component class and let's go to the constructor and let's get the root, right? And that will be the activated root. Okay, and then inside the ng-on-init. And then inside the ng-on-init method, we can then do this.root.param_map.subscribe. And here we will get the param map, and that's of type param map. Okay, and then inside here, we can get access to the ID parameter by doing ID param is equal to param map.get, and then type in the name of the parameter, which is ID, right? Because let's look at the root object here. Here we have called it ID, right? So that's what we use here. And if we save that now, and actually, first of all, let's just console log this out. It's console log ID param. Save that and go back to the application. Let's go to the console. And here we see 1, 2, 3 here. Cool. So let's try and change this to ABC and press enter. And now we see ABC. Cool. All right, so now we have that ID parameter. We can now use the note service. So private note service is of type note service. And here we can now do const note is equal to this.noteService.getNote and then pass in the ID. And that is the ID param, right? Okay, let's save that. And oh yeah, first of all, let's just console log this note out. So console.log note. And let's just put a console log that says note, or this is the note. Okay, save that and go back to the application. And here we see it's undefined. And that's because we've actually typed in an invalid ID, right? ABC. And there's no note that has the ID of ABC, right? So let's actually use a proper ID. So the easiest way to do this would be to just go to the notes view. So notes.component.html. And here we have this app note card, and it's looping through all of the notes and creating those note cards for all of the notes. What we could do here is we can make these links that will actually link out to the edit note view, and it will have the proper ID in the ID param, right? So let's actually create an A tag, and let's actually surround the app note card here. And let's actually move the ng4 onto that A tag. Okay, and let's actually go here and set the router link. Okay, and then in here we can use property binding. Okay, and then inside here we pass in an array. And inside that array we just have the note.id. Okay, so if we save that now and go back to the application, and if we go to the /notes URL, okay, we now see that these are links because they have this blue text underline. Let's actually go and fix that. Let's go to our code, and let's actually go to the styles.scss. And what we can do is we can go here and just say that all A tags haven't got any text decoration. Okay, let's save that and close this and go back to our application. And there we go. So now cool. All right. So now we haven't got that blue underline. Cool. And now let's try and click on this. And it sends us to /notes/this ID here, right? And if we look in the console, we see that we have this ID, and then we actually have a note object being logged to the console. Cool. So cool. All right. So that's pretty cool. Let's look at this. And yeah, it's got all of the correct information, because if we go back here, we actually clicked on this one, right? Let's actually clear the console and let's click on this one, the hey and testing 1 2 3 one. Let's click on that. And if we look here, it has hey as the title and it has the correct content. Cool. All right. So that's looking pretty good. So now what we can do is we can actually is set the value of these fields to that note objects fields, right? So if we go back here and if we close this and go to the edit note template, actually first of all, let's go to the edit note component class and let's actually create a property here called note. Okay, and this has to be imported from the note model file. So okay, so let's now go down here, and instead of doing a new constant note, let's just do this.note is equal to this.note service.getNote. Okay, and we can get rid of this for now, and we can get rid of this as well. Okay, cool. All right, so let's save that now, and let's go to the template, and here we can actually use property binding on the ng model to set the value. Okay, so let's use property binding here and set this to note.title. Okay, and let's go to the content, the content text area, and let's do property binding here and set this equal to note.content. Okay, let's save this and let's go back to the application. Okay, and here we can't see anything. And if we look at the console, we'll see an error, right? Cannot read property title of undefined. The reason for this is that this ID no longer exists, right? As each time we create a new note, we are creating a new ID, right? And as we made changes to the code and saved it, our app reloaded, right? And each time we create a new note, it's actually creating a new ID, right? So if we look at /notes, these notes will actually have completely different IDs now that we have reloaded the app, right? So let's actually click on this one, and there we go. And here we see test title and test content. Cool. All right, let's close this, and let's go back here, and let's click on this one. And here we see hey and testing 1 2 3. Cool. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Now we actually have to make sure that when the user clicks save, it will actually update the note. So if we go to the edit note component, if we go to the template here, we see that we have to create the onForm submit inside our component class. So if we go here and do onForm submit, and it takes in a form, and that's of type ng form. Okay, and then here what we can do is we can now console.log the form.value. Okay, save this, go back to the application, and if we look at the console, and oh, okay, so here we have the same issue where we've actually reloaded the app and now this ID doesn't exist. Let's actually just go to the /notes view and let's go here, and there we go. All right, let's just clear the console, and let's try and click save, and here we get the object that has the title and the content. Cool. Let's try and update this. Let's say updated. Okay, let's click save. Cool. All right, so now let's go back to the application code, and we can get rid of this. And here we actually want to use the note service to update the note, right? So so here let's do this.note service.update note. Okay, and it takes an ID. So here we can do this.note.id. Okay, and then the updated fields, and then this would be form.value. Okay, cool. All right, so let's save this and let's go back to the application. Okay, and we again have this issue. Okay, so let's actually go and quickly prevent this error from happening by first checking if this actually has a value in the template, right? So let's go here and let's do an ngIf here. ngIf note. Okay, so this will only show if the note object has a value. Okay, so let's save that and go back to the application. And now here we don't see the form and there's no errors. That's good. Let's just quickly add a error message. So let's do note not found. And let's just do ngIf on this. ngIf not note. Okay, let's save that. And let's go back to the application. And there we go. Cool. All right, so that's pretty good. Now let's go to /notes. And let's try and update this one. So let's go here. And let's close the console. And let's just say updated. And let's click save. Okay. Let's now click cancel to go back here. And here we see updated. Awesome. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Let's try and update the content. I have updated this content. Let's click save. And now we see I have updated this content. Awesome, so that's working pretty well. Alright, so let's go back here and let's go to the component class. And at this point we could probably just use the router to navigate them to the notes view, right? So let's go and inject the router. So private router. And let's go here and let's do this .router.navigate by URL. And let's do /notes. Save that and go back to the application. And let's go here and let's say updated. Click save. And it sends us to this view and it has updated. Cool. All right, let's try and update this one. Click save, and it has updated. Awesome. Cool. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Cool. All right, so the next thing we can do is we can work on adding a button to delete a note. Okay, so here we can add a button to delete a note. All right, so let's go back to the code here, and let's go to the template, and let's just add a button. Here, and let's call this delete. Let's not use a line end, so let's get rid of that, and let's save that and go back to the application. And it says note not found. Yep, that makes sense. Let's go back to /notes, click on this one. Okay, and now we see delete. Cool. Let's just quickly add some spacing in between those two. All right, so let's go back to the code here, and let's go to styles.css. And in the btns container class, let's just scroll down to the btns container class. Let's just add a gap. Okay, so let's use gap, and let's say 12 pixels. Okay, let's okay, so let's save that, and let's go and let's just close this, and let's go back to the application, and let's go to /notes. Click on this one, and there we go. Cool. All right, so now, if we actually click on this one, then it sends us to this page here. The reason it's doing that is because it's being treated as a submit button. So actually, if we change this to updated and click on delete, then it will actually update the note, right? And the reason for that is because it's being treated as a submit button. So let's go here and let's do type. And then we can give it a type of button. And okay, let's save that and go back to the application. And let's go here and let's try and click on it. And now it isn't doing anything. Great. So now what we can do is we can go here and we can go to the component class and create a method. And we can call this delete note. And here we can just do a alert to do delete note. Okay. Let's save this now and go to the template. And now let's actually use event binding on the click event, and we can now do delete note. And if we save this and go back to the application, and if we go to /notes, click on this one and click on delete, now we see this alert. That's good. Let's now go back to our code here. Let's go to the component class. Let's get rid of this, and let's now use the note service, this.note service, to do delete note. and it requires the ID. So this.note.id, there we go. And then let's also just navigate the user away like this. Okay, so then it will take us to /notes after it's deleted the note. Let's save this and let's go back to the application. And let's go to /notes. Let's click on this one. Okay, so the hey note. Okay, so let's click on delete. And now it's gone. Now we only see this one here. Let's click on this one and let's click on delete. And now there are no notes. Cool. All right, so that's working pretty well. All right then, so I think the next thing we can do is we can actually move on to the to-dos, and we can actually create the to-do service. All right then, let's do that next.